Hey guys, back once again from the Rock Life Studio, episode 58 of Out the Top. Bryant Dunnigan and Dan Carter back again. What's up, Mr. Dan?
What's happening?
Man, we're just another week. I feel like we start these exactly the same. It's just like it's this first of the week blues, I guess. Like, damn it, when is the weekend?
Right.
That's all I can
Like
think about.
everybody else looking for the weekend. I'm sure a lot of you guys work outside and it's 150,000 fucking degrees out. No in sight.
Yeah, it's hey, it's not been too bad this week though. It is I know it's still summer, but I seen the first leaves fall this week.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. My yard has some leaves in it, and that means that we're getting close to cooler temperatures. And when it's cold, I'm going to fuss because it's cold and I want it to be warmer. And when it's warm, I'm going to fuss and say I want it to be colder. We have about a three week window. That's usually right where I like it. Anywho, before we get too far, remember, guys, use code OUTTHETOP at Rock Life Racing and rocklifeoffroad.com. And don't forget, I'm not going to go into all the details this week, but we do offer memberships here on the YouTube channel. It was brought to our attention last week that some phones and some platforms may not support the join button. Right there on your page where it says subscribe, if you've already subscribed, that'll be gone, and there'll be a join button. If that join button is not there, it's because the platform you're watching YouTube on does not support that yet, but the link to join, I'm going to put that in the description of this video, so you just go down there, hit the little button, get you some exclusive videos, merch discounts, up to 50% for our upper level memberships on Out the Top and Rock Life Off-Road merch. And we got some new Out the Top Sacket bags last week. We let those run for the first week for members only. Those are now available to everyone else. If you guys would want some of those, they are limited quantity, black, red, and blue. So hop over to Rock Life Off-Road or rocklifeoffroad.com, or it's right down here in this little box below us where it says shop. You just hit that and it'll take you there. Really appreciate everybody who watches the videos and comments on the videos, sends us messages. We've said this over and over and over. We really appreciate all you guys. And in saying that, you know, last week we played our little what if game with our Olympic people.
Right.
We did get some messages and some comments. Some people thought that was funny. So we had one on our, I posted it on the TikTok page. And I can't remember exactly who posted it. But they were right on. They gave us their list.
Right. I enjoyed those.
Yeah. So this guy's list was for BMX. He picked DC, which is, you know, what we all picked. The equestrian games he gave to Kobe Rock. Weightlifting was Nick Rock. 100 meter dash, he did say Danny Smith. Danny doesn't race with us anymore, but we'll let that pass. He's a legacy driver, I suppose.
Yeah, and he's quick. Like, he was one of those that was always on the hill, and like you could be in the verge of rolling over, and Danny would be within 5 foot of you waiting.
It's like he knew it was going to happen.
Right.
And then their triathlon pick was Timmy Cameron, which you can't go wrong putting Timmy in any games. I don't suppose.
Right.
I'm still sticking with Brandon because that's what Brandon does.
For sure.
I really don't know anybody else who does all three series as well as Brandon. And then for our bonus question, fencing, they said Daniel Heckley because they thought Daniel would be hard to hit. So I thought that was pretty neat. We got some good feedback on that. We might try and do some more little silly stuff like that along the way. We've just got to My problem is we just wing these things most of the time. We're both so busy with work and life. It we get on the call right before the episode. Like, what are we talking about today? We don't know. I don't know.
Right? Yeah.
And we just kind of wing it. So we'll try and throw some more of that little stuff in from here and there and yonder, and maybe have a little bit more fun. But talking about mentioned Brandon Davis's name. He got him a big sponsor this week. It looks like.
Right. And I don't know if that was for the car and UTV, or if it's just for the big car. But nonetheless, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Anytime any racers can get any support from any outside companies, man, that's just that's such a relief and such a weight off your shoulders to know that you have that in your pocket. Well, I busted a tire this weekend. At least you're probably not out $700 or $1,000 or whatever a bouncer tire is. You know, if he's got a good relationship with those guys, they'll hook him up. And I don't know. I'm curious with Brandon in particular. I noticed he'd picked up Raceline wheels this year, and then Mickey Thompson tires. Brandon's not been typically one to seek out sponsorship,
right?
I don't think, or if he's had any, just didn't really push it as much as he could. I don't know if he's now like actively pursuing that, or if that's something that's coming to him, but I'm glad to see him getting some help.
Right.
Because I know. Listen, a lot of the bouncers, man, they're way harder, I think, to get sponsorship for.
Yeah.
Than the UTVs. There's so many UTV companies that are interested in the sport and want to stay relevant in the sport. But the bouncers, you don't have as much direct ties, I guess, to that world.
Right.
This goes back to maybe even the episode with Matt Holt. Matt was talking about, you know, if you call up Summit or Jegs to get something or get sponsorship, well, everybody that's calling Summit or Jegs is a racer or a high performance person in one form or fashion. So they can't give out sponsorships to everybody. And that's where a lot of the big buggy stuff comes from, you know. So it's harder to find for those guys. So anywhere they get any, man, I hope they get more than they can handle.
Right, and stuff like that is cool because it's a national branded tire. And, you know, we see a lot of those guys that, you know, bouncer guys and some of the UTV guys as well, you know, they get kind of mom and pop sponsorships, which is great. But, you know, we're not doing circle track at the local dirt track is where a small mom and pop business would benefit from that. You know, it's all of our stuff is states away, you know. So if I were to get, you know, like a real estate agent or something wanting to put their name on the side of the car, you know, that's great. I appreciate it. But, you know, I don't feel like I'm the return on your investment for you like some of these others would be if you were to, you know, look at something else like a baseball team or something that's close to home would get you more return on your investment versus you owning something in Alabama and me being in Kentucky or Missouri racing with that on the side of my car. So, and I'm wondering if that's kind of why he shied away from stuff like that too, because like you said, he never really sought out sponsorship until this year. And it's good to see that the national brands are kind of looking at our sport.
Yeah, you make a good point because, you know, back when we run Roundy Round, there's 10 places in my town right now that I know I could go, and probably even for the UTV, I could probably go to those 10 places and could probably drum up some money. not enough to matter, but I could drum up a little money. But I know that it's not going to be beneficial to them whatsoever.
Right.
Because we race, the closest we run to them is Wildcat.
Right.
You know, most of our viewers, listeners are not from my town. So what benefit is it really for them? So that's getting those national brands in. I think it helps them more. It lets mom and pop's places like that focus where they need to.
Right.
You know, in that town, in that area, that's actually going to benefit them. If it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense.
That's right.
So nonetheless, I'm glad. I'm glad. Listen, in a bouncer, from what we've seen this year, tires and wheels are. Seems like I have seen more flats and more busted wheels this year than I've ever seen. So yeah, get them tire and wheel sponsorships, guys.
Oh, for sure.
Save yourself some money if you can. Speaking of that, so I figured today, no race last week, no race this coming week. Wanted to kind of go back through our top 4 classes, which I'm going to say Stock, Bounty, UTV Cup, and the Bouncer class. Just kind of look at our top 5 in each class and kind of see. I know we just had our mid-season show, a month ago. It doesn't seem very long ago. We just done our mid-season show, but since then, I mean, everything is completely different other than probably the stock class.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured we'd do a quick rundown of our top 5 in each class and see what you think. See how you think it's shaking out and what you foresee. We've got Rush Springs coming up. Then we've got Indian Mountain, and then finals. And I mean, that is what is that? 200, 300 points left on the table.
Right.
So technically, I mean, almost nobody is out of it yet. Technically. But there's a couple classes that are getting out of reach. But then we've got a couple classes that could turn on their head in one run.
Right.
So we'll start with our UTV stock class. We'll start at 5 and go to 1. 5th place is Braden Upchurch with 508. Now, after his DNF at Rush, two DNFs at Rush, he dropped all the way down to 9th. Mm-hmm. He's come back up to 5th with 508. Daniel Heckley is in 4th with 538. I think Braden could get Daniel. That spot could flip-flop realistically.
Right.
But the money spot, the trophy spot, 3rd, is Dylan Dowler with 576. Then Brandon Davis with 583, and Cody Cayson is running away with a 654. So Braden and I think Cody's got it.
Yeah, Cody's going to be hard to catch, but 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th is going to be a toss-up.
I think your 2nd and 3rd. I think your top 3. You know, all this is barring no DNFs, mind you. If everybody finishes out, barring no DNFs, I think your top 3 are your top 3. I don't see Braden or Daniel sneaking in there and getting a trophy. But I think your top 3 is your top 3, just in what order.
Right.
If Cody gets to finals with a 50, 60 point lead, all he's got to do is finish heels.
Right.
As long as he finishes heels, which, listen, the good thing about finals this year is we're racing Thursday night. 1 run. Running 2 runs Saturday, and then 2 runs Friday and 1 run Saturday. So if you break on Thursday, you got all night to fix it. But now Friday is going to be the tricky day because you're kind of going to have to be a little conservative on that first run, because if you miss or break, if you break something on the first run and you lose the second run, that puts a whole lot of pressure going in on the last run on Saturday.
For sure.
So anything can happen at finals. But I do think Cody's probably got that whooped. I can see Braden and Daniel switching places. And, with a DNF, you throw one DNF in the mix anywhere in there, and then it all changes.
That's right.
But just judging by the way people have been running, I think it's going to be tough. I don't know who's after Braden, but I don't think I think that was pretty well yet. So I think that's your top 5. It just depends on which order it all ends up in. Like I said, could be close. Bounty class. There's only 4 in that one in the points. I went top 4 because 5th place is 200 points back.
Right.
So you got Josh Krupinski in 4th with, I think, 407. Madison King with 414. Casey Howe, 487. And then Nathaniel Bell with 517. Your top Bounty is one of those classes where you could get 2 finishes a weekend, or you could get 2 DNFs very easy.
Right.
And listen, I don't know anybody else that's had as much transmission trouble this year as Nathaniel.
Right.
So what happens there, we won't know. I don't think realistically we won't know until Saturday of finals. That top 4, I mean, it's 110 points from Josh to Nathaniel. But if Nathaniel goes to Rush Springs, breaks the transmission on the first run, Josh could be your points leader. Or not, couldn't,
right.
He could be right there.
Right, yeah. It's anybody's game at this point still in those top 4.
Bounty's just so unpredictable. Literally, just so it's one rock from no finishes, or one bounce from everybody finishing and making it look easy. There's been what? Hawk Pride, we had one person finish a hill.
Yeah.
Like it's very realistic.
Right. And I don't think we'll see that coming out of Missouri, but Indian Mountain, they're building a new course for Indian Mountain. So depending on how wild they get, we could very well see another course similar to that of Hawk Pride. Maybe just a handful, if any, finishing one of the hills.
They said that the Indian Mountain Hill is 600 yards long straight up.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows? If I'm gambling, I'm in bounty class. I mean, you got to put your money on one of the top 2, I feel like, for your championship, Nathaniel or Casey. Nathaniel has been more consistent season long. Obviously, he has more points. That's kind of a given. But it seems like he's been more consistent all year long. But now listen, the boy put in 2 transmissions the week before whatever the last race was.
Yeah, he definitely wants it this season.
He has been testing. He's been tuning. He was putting together a transmission two days ago again. So we're talking about transmissions, and I don't mean to jump off course here. All these cats that's got these high dollar billet transmission cases in these side-by-sides. I'm seeing more and more broke gears. More and more popping out of gear. Do you think that transmission case, which is supposed to be indestructible or whatever, do you think it's a false safety net and it's causing more harm than good?
In my opinion, I do think it is. Like I feel like, well, you're obviously not seeing as many busted cases, but at the point, at what point do you say that that's still a good investment? Because we don't know for a fact the first run of those transmissions how in spec they were. I've heard from several different people saying that, and one of them having more of a machinist background. He said he put aluminum foil in some of his bearings to where it would not have as much wobble when he put the different shafts in the case. He just felt like they were out of spec a touch. And if that's the case, I mean, anything being 100th of a thousand out of whack over time is going to wear and tear on some stuff.
Well, as hard as you guys are on these things.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
you can't have any give.
I feel like, usually when you throw out high gear, it breaks off, goes somewhere else, and it starts breaking other stuff.
Yeah, I just see it as like a false, gives you a false sense of security.
Right. And two, we're seeing these guys take one transmission and they're running it for several years. Like you said, it's almost like a false safety net because, they hadn't had any issues out of it. Were they breaking these things down at the end of the season and going through them or putting new internals in them or what?
I don't know. It just seems like I've seen so many busted transmissions this year, and knock on wood. I mean, it's liable to creep up and get us. And I know we've not run bounty this year, and we've not been in those situations as much as we used to. But I don't know, man. It just seems to be a plethora of transmission troubles more so.
Right.
And that could be coming from the higher horsepower too,
because that's another thing.
We're seeing so much more horsepower than we did 2 years ago.
Right, and that's another thing I was going to add on to is like we're used to the only ones that were making real big horsepower was Cash and DC, and now it seems like more and more people are running E85 with big turbos, big tunes, and it's just taking a toll on these parts.
I don't know how these little side-by-sides keep up. UTV Cup class. Casey Howe in 5th with 537. Cooper in 4th. Cooper Bentley with 541. Dylan Daller 584. Clay Cayson with 590. And TC with 645. Unless TC has a DNF between here and there, I don't think you're not going to outrun him 50 points.
Right.
You're just not. I don't. You're not going to gain 50 points straight up. He's going to have to have a DNF. So I feel pretty confident in him as your Cup champion, heading into the final few races. Now from there on back to 5th, that's anybody's game.
Mm-hmm.
Clay was giving Timmy a good run for his money until he had a detonation problem, I guess. That engine needed a service window put in it that he didn't approve of. Until that, he was giving Timmy a good run for his money. But him and Dylan Dowler are right there together now. Cooper not far behind him, and then Casey Howe. I'm rooting for Dylan Dowler.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is his. I think this. I don't know. I could be wrong in saying this. I feel like this is his first like full season, like every week committed.
Right.
And I know he run quite a bit last year, and he may have run the full season, but I feel like he's in on a different level this year.
Right.
And I'm rooting for him. He led the points for a little while at the start of the season. He's hung in there the whole time. I'm rooting for him to at least stay in the top 3 or get as far up the ladder as he can. Like to see Cooper do good.
Mm-hmm.
But that class is so competitive, though, man.
Right.
It's just so fast. If you finish in the top 5 in that, it's nothing to hang your head on. I mean, that's just, me and Matt Meyer have talked about it a couple times. His goal was top 5. That's where he wants to be.
Right.
Top 5 or podium. And he's like, dude, everybody's so fast. Like he last raced. Oh man, I think it was the season I run, like back in 19.
Yeah, I think it was.
And he hops back in and he's like, oh crap, what happened? Like, yeah, dude, they're quick.
This shocker.
They're quick. These cars have come so far. The tunes have come so far. The clutching, everything in these UTVs. Everybody's just so much faster. I wanted to go back too and look at points totals, but I couldn't get. I'll ask you this: do you remember pre 19? If you go to the National Rock Racing Association website, they have a results tab, and if you get pre-19, I think it is, it looks like the points are a little skewed. It's showing that we only done one run. Is that how it? Do you remember?
I don't remember. I was thinking about that the other day, and that was a question I was going to ask you a couple episodes back. But what's the highest points value you remember seeing?
Well,
at the end of the year, and I was trying to think of that, and I think like now we're seeing higher points values, and I'm going to say it's probably like at the end of the season. I was thinking that we normally see like 500 points.
Well, that's what I started to go back and look, but I started back as far as I could go, and then there was a season. I think it was like season. It's either 20 or 21. It looked like the file had corrupted on the website, so we'll have to get them to get that fixed. But there was, I was trying to compare like bounty points. That's where I was actually at the time, was comparing bounty points to see if points totals were higher or on a trajectory to be higher this year or lower. Because going back and looking, are the hills harder? Are they easier? Are the buggies getting better? And I kind of wanted to compare that. But one thing that I will say is Clyde is really good at picking courses.
Mm-hmm.
He is very good at knowing what the machines can do.
Right.
And he likes to push it. He likes to make the courses where he knows people can finish it, but sometimes it's people can finish it. There might only be 5 or 6,
right?
But it is doable. We've been to some damn hill climbs where they've had to stop and change the course midway through the day because nobody could get anything.
Right.
You don't ever see that with us. He's pretty good at picking the courses. So as the machines have gotten better, he's had to adjust what we're actually doing.
Right.
So it's hard to get a real grasp on like the points. But as far as bounty points goes, it looks like 2021 we were in the 650 point range, 700 for your champion.
Right.
And we're on pace for that this year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's seems like it's relatively unchanged as far as that goes. Yeah, I tried to go back and do some comparative thinking as far as, okay, I'll ask this question. Do you think, because we go to a lot of these parks, and yeah, the courses are changed a little bit from here and there, but do you think a driver, and once you've been to a place so many times, do you think if you get to a park and you like the park and you like the hills, do you think you can gain an advantage by being at that park? Or do the hills change so much from year to year that it's really not even like the same place?
It's hit and miss. Like we saw this year, like Hall Pride, for example, when we first started running No Respect, there was a little bit of a roll up to it that they put in. I think it was around the Outlaw race that first ran that, and then we haven't seen anything done to it since, and it's just deteriorated over the years. So that hill's definitely gotten harder. But the weekend after we raced there, a group went down and rode, and they had them push some more dirt up to the bottom. So,
they're backing up the damn thing.
Yeah, so they were bouncing all over the place. So, it just depends on the course itself. What, like we saw too, that a lot of the larger rocks on Maverick were moved. So it made coming down the hill a lot easier for us. As far as some of the guys going up it, made it a little bit more difficult. So I think it just depends. But you take somewhere like Rush, those hills, in my opinion, are pretty much the same as they were when we first started running there.
Yeah, so like that was me. Like Windrock, other than the first obstacle, at Windrock, the little rock ledge in the bottom.
Right.
Other than that, I feel like once you've run that so many times, you know what the little bench roads look like. You know where the turns, how hard you can push it coming downhill maybe. Things like that I look at as maybe getting an advantage, just being comfortable and having seen that before, because a lot of that stuff translates from race to race. Like this week or coming up at Rush Springs, you're going to run the short course.
That's right.
Fast drivers are going to have fast times there, but just because of the short course.
Right.
If you're a high horsepower buggy and you can lay in it in that short course, you've got so much time to gain. Or if you get out there and pussyfoot around, you may have a really good time in the hills, but you've lost 10 seconds out there playing in the short course.
That's right.
So, man, I think some of those places like that, once you've run them so many times, there has to be a little bit of a comfort level.
Right. And then, too, it all depends on how the car's set up, because you can get somewhere like Rush Springs and realize that your car's donkey kicking, and you may not know that until you decide to pre-run. Or if you decide not to pre-run, you may be half track before you hit a hill wrong and realize that thing's nosing real bad on you. And you have to slow down and not hit the short course as hard as you normally would, and have to make that time up on the uphills and downhills. So I really see that some of the faster times that we'll see from Rush Springs are going to be those guys that have the car's suspension set up to where they can handle those jumps, and the guys that are willing to stay in the throttle on the downhills.
Yeah, I like that short course for the UTVs. I think it's fine. I don't know if I like it for the big bouncers.
Right.
I just feel like it's unnecessary. Nobody comes to a hill climb to watch a short course.
Right.
I just don't. I get it. You got to do something to fill out your day. I just don't get excited over the bouncers there. I don't mind watching the UTVs. I think watching them sail off some of those jumps in the short course is pretty neat. I remember the first race I ever watched on the live feed out there. I swear I remember like it was yesterday. It was Travis Skelton in one of his blue buggies. He came off that last jump coming back towards the finish line area or the starting line area, and the buggy just like it just looked like it was going to keep going up,
right?
Like forever. And it finally, I don't know how he rode the landing out on that deal, but I was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Glad that's not me. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Bouncers. So we've got we got Nick in the Fordzilla buggy at 537. Clayton Smith at 585, Cooper 593, Daniel Heckley 621, TC 632.
That's really close.
Top 4 is really close. 5th, he's not out of it.
No.
And he has been the last few races. He's been driving like a madman. So
yeah.
He could sneak in and win a race and crawl up into that top 3 real quick.
Well, and I really think Rush Springs is going to be his race.
Yeah, I think it could be.
It's short. It's fast. It's lightweight. If I don't know if he could get out on the track a little bit Friday and just kind of see how the car would handle a couple of those jumps. But if he could get the feel for that through the short course and make up all his time in the short course, I really feel like we'll see him on the podium this weekend.
Yeah, we definitely could. Let me ask you something else. So, and I can't remember. I may have asked you this last week. So you got Cooper had the points lead going into the last race, had a DNF. Timmy's back on top. In my opinion, up until Hawk Pride, Timmy hadn't even really been driving that hard, I didn't feel like.
Right.
Like, driving fast enough to win, don't get me wrong. Still hustling. But I don't think he was really giving that car all he wanted, or all it wanted. He's had a couple DNFs now, but now I feel like this last race, he was wailing on it pretty good.
Yeah.
But now that he's back in the front, what do you see at the next couple races? Is it back to maintaining the lead, or is it still too close? And do you think he's going to be running 110?
My opinion is that he probably wants a little bit bigger points lead. And for that, I would say he's going to make a statement at Rush Springs this coming up weekend.
Well, listen, I remember when the first time everybody seen that buggy at Mid-America back last year, and he come in and absolutely laid a beat down on the field.
Right.
Of course, Mid-America, not that he didn't do really well in the hills, he did. But man, that thing was screaming through the little flat course they had built.
Right.
I said I don't really care about seeing the bouncers on the short course. That's one I want to watch.
Right. Yeah. I don't think he's going to hold back any, especially on the downhills. He knows that's where he's going to make up a lot of his time, and you'll see him coming down those hills faster than you see him going up. Man,
that thing's so fast. I don't get it. But yeah, I just wonder. I feel like I agree with you. Like, I know he probably wants a bigger lead, but he's back in the position where somebody's going to have to outrun him.
Right.
And he knows that. He doesn't have a 50-point lead, like he did prior to his DNF at Hawk Pride. He doesn't have that comfort level. and one slip up, and Daniel's leading the points.
Right.
Or one slip up, and Coop jumps them both.
Yeah.
So
it's all possible.
It is. The bouncer class, I think the bouncer class and your bounty class is going to be your most up for grabs when it comes to your season end top three. I would like to see. So if anybody's listening, we were talking about national businesses, corporations. If anybody's listening, somebody needs to get behind this bounty class and throw them a little money, because for you guys that may or may not know, bounty class doesn't really even have a bounty class, or stock class really doesn't have an end of the year purse. You just get a trophy. That is something that the drivers decided on themselves, so I don't feel too bad for them. But I'd like to see somebody get behind that class that could throw a little money into a season-ending championship pot.
Right.
If you win one of those bounty races, though, it can be some pretty decent money. It gets up there.
Yeah, and that's one reason we kind of opted for it to not be a like a cup class. We were wanting it to have a little bit bigger payouts.
Yeah, the per race payout is better.
Right.
It's not guaranteed money though. That's the only
true.
thing.
That's true.
It's a payback class. So however many people enter, you take all that entry fee, and then that gets paid back out to the top three.
Right.
With no savings. Used to, there was a 80-20 split. Mm-hmm. From the race, you'd take 80% of the payouts, pay it for the event, 20 to the end of the year. Everybody wanted to just do that per race, because realistically, like I said, you've got 4 people. Mm-hmm. 4 or 5 people that run the full season. So I get that. But
it's pretty much been like that.
It has. I mean, every year.
There's always been 3 to 5 people that are really gunning after it, and
it's a lot of work.
Yeah, a lot of carnage, a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of being pissed off. A lot of broken tires, or not tires, broken wheels, broken axles, broken diffs. So yeah, it takes a toll on you. So you typically have 4 to 5 people, maybe, that are really like going after it. But I would like to see somebody get behind that and put a little towards the season-ending pot, so those guys got something to go after rather than just a trophy. But yeah, those 2 classes, I'm really interested to see how they play out. Stock class, as long as Cody doesn't screw up, he's got that. Cup class, as long as Timmy doesn't screw up, he should have that. The rest of it's up for grabs. So what do you think? Like you said, okay, I think Timmy is. I mean, at Rush Springs, I think he's got the bouncer class. I really do. I really think the time he's going to gain on that short course on everybody is enough. They're not going to be able to catch him.
Right.
I think he wins that. The cup race, it's really hard to bet against him in that as well, just for the same reason.
Right.
But he is more beatable in that class than the bouncers. I think that's going to be a race between him and Clay. Mm-hmm. Stock class. Ooh. Cody Cayson has a really stout razor. And I hate to be the one to admit this, but I think with the short course, the Can-Ams may have a little leg up at this place. We'll see. Bounty class, man. If Nathaniel didn't blow a transmission, it's his to lose, I feel like. I talked to him the other day. I told him, so when the front end comes off the ground, if the front end's off the ground before it comes back down, let out of the gas. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. And he said, what fun is that? And I said, well, I hope you like working on transmissions.
That's right.
He said they've got it down to about 15 minutes. They can have one in the floor and the case half split.
Whew. I don't want to know what that feels like.
I don't either. I told him, I said, if that happened to me, I know we would not be going racing.
Yeah.
Shove it in the corner. Not as dedicated as you are, sir. But it'll be a good show. I hate we're not going to go. One of these days, I do want to get out there. I think it could be a cool place.
I love that park. But like I said, it's a ride. It's a cool place, but it is a ride out there for us. Ooh.
Yeah, I like to stay in my little circle. It's too much. Anything else you think you want to add to this? You think Timmy's got it in the bouncers this weekend?
Yeah, I feel like let's see, top three is going to be Timmy, Daniel Heckley, and Nick Wright. I think that's a good pick. I like to see old Nick up on that podium. I say UTV stock probably going to be Cody Cayson, Dylan Dowler, Brandon Davis.
That's your points guys right there. I feel like you're taking the easy road, man.
I'm just shooting off predictions.
Taking the easy road, man. That's your top three.
I don't know. I don't want to pick Bounty. I don't want to.
Bounty could be like just like we said. One wrong bump, and it changes everything.
Right.
It'll be a good race weekend, guys. If we don't see you next week, we've got something scheduled for next week. But if something happens and that falls through, we will talk to you after the Rush Springs race. Hopefully, you'll hear from us next week. We'll let you guys know on that as soon as we get that confirmed. We have a guest lined up for next week. So hopefully we'll be back. If not, we'll talk to you the week after Rush Springs. We'll do a little recap. Man, I'm ready to go back racing.
You and me both. Ready for the next closest one to home is going to be Indian Mountain for us. So we'll be there.
We got to get you in the high jump competition.
Man, that may be possible.
We need to get you in the high jump competition.
That old blue car jumps pretty damn good.
I was thinking we see if we get a loaner from somebody else. That way we don't break our shit.
Well, I wouldn't mind that either.
We'll get Levi Carter to give us a loaner.
That's what we need. Yeah. He owes us a few favors anyway.
Levi.
He was supposed to be on the podcast, stood us up.
He was supposed to be one of our first guests and stood us up.
So that's strike one. Was supposed to be bringing the car to Windrock for us and
had to go to Bike Week.
Yeah. So that's strike two. Levi, you got one more time, buddy.
Yeah. Well, he's just going to have to give us a rental. Tear his shit.
We're going to take it.
Yeah.
He's going to give us one, or we're going to take it.
Yeah, I like that. We'll just take it. We're coming for you, buddy.
He's going to see a North Star flying 50 foot up in the air.
Ooh, that hurts my back just thinking about it. Golly. All right, guys. We're gone. We'll see you guys in a week or two. Thanks for watching Out the Top. Daniel, see ya.
See you.